I think John's quality, he had the ability, his true persona transcended the screen. Who he really was.
Over the years, Eugene Levy has made his mark in the entertainment industry in Canada, being well known for his comic sense and on-screen chemistry. Throughout his career, he has met and collaborated with a lot of other talents in the industry, including the likes of John Candy. However, we lost John Candy along the line, and yet not many people know how close the bond that existed between him and Levy was. One thing is for sure, it was deeper than you think, and went beyond the chemistry that they both showed on television. Join us as we open up what Eugene Levy has to say about his relationship with John Candy. Eugene Levy was born on December 17, 1946, in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and is one of North America's most multifaceted comic actors, working both in television and film to sketch comedy. From his humble beginnings in Ontario to his latter times in Hollywood, it has been a journey marked with creative, resilient, and uniquely comic spirit, which resonated across generations. Levy was born into and raised in a close-knit Jewish family. His father was a foreman in an automobile plant, while his mother was a homemaker. The city of Hamilton was generally an industrial one when Levy was a boy, with little or no exposure to entertainment. But he did have a sense of humor and appreciation of the arts, even at a tender age. Levy attended Westdale Secondary School, where he first became interested in the performing arts. Teachers and friends who recognized his natural wit encouraged him to participate in school plays and talent shows. These high school years gave him more confidence and honed his comic timing. He went on to McMaster University, joining the Student Film Club, where his love for entertainment grew stronger. It is here that he encountered future collaborators and found a supportive space in which to test his comedic skills. While at McMaster, Levy became part of an organization known as the McMaster Film Board. Members were engaged in the production and development of student films. This taught him the very basic ideas of filmmaking while improvising and writing scripts. Composed of aspiring artists, the club was all motivated to push the limits and experiment with different content. It is here that Levy first met all the up-and-coming Canadian comic icons such as Martin Short and Ivan Reitman, thus forging relationships extending well into his career. Time at the Film Board helped him build confidence as a performer and solidified his love for comedy. Immediately after graduation, Levy moved to Toronto to try his hand at comedy. In the early 1970s, he was hired by Second City Theatre, a popular improvisational comedy group regarded at the time as a breeding ground for both Canadian and American comedians. It was in Second City that Levy honed his skills in improvisation and shared the stage with fellow up-and-coming stars like Gilda Radner, John Candy, and Catherine O'Hara. Free-spirited performances and a sharp satirical edge marked Second City's performances and gave Levy license to experiment with a variety of characters and styles of comedy. Thus, he gained a reputation for playing singular, sometimes quirky characters and demonstrated his sense of physical comedy and timing. One of the biggest breaks Levy received from his time at Second City was joining SCTV, a Canadian sketch comedy series. SCTV really gave Levy the room to flex his acting muscles amongst some of the finest comic talents of the era. The show really clicked with audiences, and Levy's character was among the points of interest. The range in his characterizations, from the inept news anchor Earl Camembert to the outrageously over-the-top Perry Como parodies, revealed he could carry everything from subtle wit to screaming farce. By the 1980s, Levy had become a trusted name in TV comedy, but felt that the time had come to move on to new pastures. His film debut came in the 1980s with a string of supporting roles, many of them alongside fellow SCTV performers. On screen, he could be seen in films like the 1983 National Lampoon's Vacation, in which his humor was far more subdued, but it wasn't until he teamed up with director Christopher Guest that he really began to show his craft. It was with Guest that Levy first found his groove on Waiting for Guffman, the 1996 classic mock film about amateur theater in a small town. Improvising much of the movie, it gave Levy a great opportunity to flex his comedic talents, especially as Dr. Alan Pearl, a sweet, awkward dentist with dreams of stardom. Waiting for Guffman received great critical acclaim for its new, hilarious approach. Levy's performance set the stage for his continued collaboration with Guest. Levy continued to collaborate with Guest on several projects, including Best in Show, A Mighty Wind, and For Your Consideration. Other than poking fun at American culture, the dialogue was all improvised, which added an element of realism that Levy and his fellow actors brought to their characters. For instance, in Best in Show, Levy played Jerry Fleck, a husband who was accident-prone with 2 left feet. The part really allowed him to show off his interestingly comic nature within the vulnerabilities and indignities of life. His work with Guest won Levy not only critical reviews but also international audiences. It was American Pie, though, that catapulted Levy to mainstream success after his previous success with the mock genre, with his role as Noah Levenstein. His character showed that perfect amalgamation of warmth and utter cluelessness to strike chords with the audience. Thus, he instantly beamed as one of the brilliant characters in a movie wholly comprised of child stars. The success of American Pie nurtured more sequels so that he could play that role again with that certain sincerity and humor that had made him beloved by all his fans. With American Pie, Levy came to an entirely new generation of audiences and became a household name, especially within American popular culture. The character truly sealed his position as one of those actors who could easily fit into any comic genre. Also, one of the greatest relationships in all of comedy history was between Eugene Levy and John Candy, bond with mutual admiration and respect, and a sense of humor that seemed to influence both of their lives and careers. Levy and Candy first met in the early 1970s at Toronto's fabled Second City Comedy Theatre, where both would forge alliances that would last a lifetime. However, Candy's sudden death from heart failure in 1994 sent Levy and many others into shock. Levy often speaks about how Candy influenced him and of the sense of loss he felt with his friend's passing. Whereas Levy's humor often dealt with quiet satire and real grounded characters, Candy was loud, boisterous, and full of goodness. These two different personalities immediately clicked when they met, finding a shared love of comedy and a mutual appreciation of the talents of one another. Second City was where they were allowed to play, experiment, improvise, and take risks. Working together, it didn't take long for Levy to realize Candy was that rare talent and a guy who could make an audience come alive with his humor. Candy could make people laugh with his comedy, but he had also been born with an emotional depth that added a layer of authenticity to his performances. Those combined traits made him not only a great comedian but also loved, and Levy was among the first to recognize this. Along the way, while honing their crafts, they made lifetime friends with other comedic jewels, such as Catherine O'Hara and Martin Short. After paying their dues in Second City, Levy and Candy joined the cast of the Canadian sketch comedy show SCTV, which would catapult both men to fame. SCTV was one of those cultural phenomena blessed with sharp satire and original characters, and thanks to both Levy and Candy, it became a fan favorite owing to their hilarious and original performances. Levy's penchant for playing quirky yet relatable characters mixed with Candy's warmth and charisma simply cemented their places in the series. One of Candy's most memorable characters on SCTV was the incredibly vain, self-centered Johnny LaRue, a narcissistic character, who led a life that put him into some of the most bizarre situations. Levy often played straight man to Candy's antics, serving to make Candy's comic genius shine all the brighter. Candy's style tended to push Levy further, and he often credits Candy for helping him lighten up on stage and get more spontaneous and daring in his comedy. It so happened that Candy and Levy became one of those really tight friends on set. The two actors had, for hours if not days, flocked off camera laughing together, sharing their dreams and comforting each other through the ups and downs of show business. Levy often speaks about how Candy's generosity, humor, and warmth have left an indelible mark on him. He was a very empathetic man and was always ready to lend an ear or help a friend in need, and Levy found himself among the many beneficiaries of that caring nature. By then, the bond of friendship between Levy and Candy was deeply shaping his private life as well as his view toward success in the entertainment industry. Sadly, John Candy died of a sudden heart attack in Durango, Mexico, on March 4, 1994, at Wagons East, SET. He was 43 years old when he passed away. The news shocked the world of comedy and even more, Eugene Levy. It sent ripples across Hollywood, making a huge impact on the lives of his friends and colleagues. His personality earned him a place in the hearts of many, and it was the loss deep inside that those who knew him felt most. For Levy, the news of Candy's death was very shocking. For more than 20 years, he had known him and shared with him the most formative years of his life, both on and off screen. The loss Levy felt wasn't just that of a colleague, but a brother in comedy, a man who shared dreams and struggles. He molded Levy both as a performer and person. In interviews, Levy describes how Candy's death put into perspective just how short life is, particularly in such an overwhelming profession as show business. Years after Candy's death, Levy still remembers his friend. He often talks about Candy's boundless talent and sweetness in interviews. Levy recalls Candy not just as a really brilliant comedian, but also as an attentive friend who was so generous and kind. Because of Candy's influence, Levy has been able to handle comedy himself. After Candy's death, Levy would go on, still working in comedy, taking those lessons and experiences he had shared with his dear friend into the profession. Indeed, one could even say that an element of Candy finds its way into Levy's character-driven form of comedy. Levy has been lauded for his skills in injecting more human aspects into his characters. Just as Candy always did, Levy brings warmth and authenticity to all the varied characters he takes on, making them relatable and likable in ways typical of Candy's influence over him. Eugene Levy is now a master of comedy and film, with high critical praise and a multitude of awards and accolades from fans worldwide. Levy has received awards and critical acclaim for his work with the comedy troupe Second City Television and has also marked some collaborations with his children Dan and Sarah Levy. The Levy family has been responsible for bringing to life projects that are not only humorous, but also diverse and emotionally resonant, raking in several awards and leaving an indelible mark on the entertainment industry. Levy's journey reflects the quality of his work, and he was determined to create meaningful, funny, and memorable characters. It was through his work in SCTV that his first main recognitions came his way. The American Pie franchise, which became a sensation in pop culture, launched Levy's talent to a different generation. Playing the lovable, awkward Jim's dad, Levy turned out to be one of the highlights in said franchise as he created truly memorable performances that struck a perfect balance between humor and parental wisdom. While major awards did not acknowledge these films, this role earned Levy a special spot in the world of comedy, since he managed to portray a sweet but somewhat embarrassing father figure. Perhaps the most unforgettable collaboration that Levy has been a part of would be in the early 2000s when he combined forces with director Christopher Guest to create a series of mock films, including Best in Show, A Mighty Wind, and For Your Consideration. From here, he extended his talents to improv, and his contribution was critically acclaimed with a number of nominations and praise for his quirky, layered characterizations. Levy even won a Grammy along with his co-stars for the song A Mighty Wind from the film A Mighty Wind, showing he had talent well outside of acting since he co-wrote and performed in the musical. The comedy series Schitt's Creek, co-created with his son Dan Levy, however, was his most successful and arguably most loved work. From 2015 until its end in 2020, the show profiled a very wealthy family called the Roses who lost absolutely everything and are forced to live in the small town they had previously purchased as a joke. With such humor, warmth, and a groundbreaking portrayal of their characters, the show easily took the television world by storm. Among the many awards and accolades he received for his portrayal of Johnny Rose, the patriarch of the Rose family, was the historic moment at the 2020 Emmy Awards, where Schitt's Creek swept all 7 major comedy categories. Levy took home the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series, a first in his career. The success of the series also brought him Canadian Screen Awards and Critics' Choice Awards to add to his many accolades. But most important for Levy was the Emmy win, because it symbolized not just his work, but that of his family and the entire cast and crew. Of all his professional experiences, one of the most profound has been working on Schitt's Creek with his children, Dan and Sarah Levy. This creative dynamic lent authenticity to the on-screen relationships and storytelling in a show about which he would say that it was not about politics, but about people. Co-creator and primary cast member Dan Levy played the part of David Rose, Johnny's son, and helped to steer the series toward an all-inclusive, heartwarming content. Eugene and Dan are naturally close in real life, which translates well into their play and screen presence as they bring onto the screen a father and son, using life to navigate humor and love. Their real-life bond gave their interactions emotional depth that resonated with audiences, making their performances funny and touching. Dan has spoken volumes of the meaningfulness of working with his father, oftentimes crediting Eugene as a mentor and guide for life and work. Eugene has in turn spoken highly of creative vision and dedication from Dan, even to the point of recognizing his son's contributions to the success of the show. His collaboration on Schitt's Creek marked a new chapter in their careers, especially Eugene, who would now explore new themes and comedic nuances with his son, reaching a new generation. In Schitt's Creek, Eugene is also joined by his own daughter, Sarah Levy, who plays Twyla Sands, the quirky and lovely waitress who'd become an integral part of the family lives of the Roses. Although Twyla is more of a secondary character, Sarah's presence on the show brings another nuance to the family dynamic. Such a role showcased her own comic talents while giving her a chance to work closely with her father and brother. Sarah's performance brought an endearing quality to the show, and scenes shared with her father were often subtle yet heartwarming reminders of how the Levy family was close-knit. The collaboration on Schitt's Creek allowed Eugene Levy the opportunity to witness and support his children in the industry. As Dan mentions, he taught him some very important things about comedic timing, improvisation skills, and the nature of authenticity in performance. This mentorship from Eugene contributed to the development of Dan and Sarah as performers, and through collaboration came the making of a television legacy created by their family. The Levys have continued to inspire each other professionally beyond Schitt's Creek. While there is no confirmation of future collaborations as ambitious as Schitt's Creek, it is quite obvious that the show has left a generational mark on both the family and the audience it garnered. The Levys were a wonder to behold when working together in this production for their natural chemistry. Thus, their fans cling to the dream that such a thing might happen again, with Eugene once more joining hands with Dan and Sarah on a project showcasing the comedic talents of his family. The wins and accolades Schitt's Creek received proved the true potential of family collaboration and the commitment that went into making the comedy. To Eugene Levy, working with his children was building something meaningful, not only as a comedian and actor, but as a father. The collaboration with his son and daughter stands as testimony to the joy and satisfaction in making something with family, and has secured the Levy's place in television history. Eugene's career has been a testament to unforgettable performance after unforgettable performance, and the work he did on Schitt's Creek with his kids added a fitting, heartfelt chapter to his legacy in comedy. In all these, the memory of John Candy remains fresh in his memory, and he continues to pay tribute to his friend. That will be all for this video, and we will see you in the next one.